I, like many of you, spent this beautiful, sunny weekend indoors watching the brand new season of Stranger Things, and I'm so excited to be joined by the badass Nancy Wheeler herself, Natalia Dyer. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I love this skirt look that you are serving us on this couch.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
It's very breezy.
Well, I want to get right into the show this season, and I want to start with a meme that went viral when the season dropped. Jonathan trying to develop his pictures. Nancy. Just blowing. Have you seen this?
No. Oh my God.
Just Big Bird opening the door,
Yes.
and he's like trying to develve the photo.
Precisely. That was it. Those are some fun scenes to shoot.
Yeah. Do you have fun with all of the memes that come out every season?
I do. I kind of miss them. I don't always see them until things like this and people bring them to my attention. But yeah, that's amazing.
Do you ever have moments when you're on set and you're like, somebody's totally going to take this line or take this and make it a meme?
Yeah, there are some moments. There are some lines that kind of set themselves up for it. I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it's always interesting to see what like sticks out to people and what they think makes a good meme. The whole meme culture. It's very creative. I'm here for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, when we were putting this segment together, we were talking about, like, how do we make this segment spoil-free? What are our guidelines about spoilers? So I want to ask you, what are your official spoiler guidelines, especially since you have to talk about this show all the time?
I mean, it's a lot easier to say what I can say than what I can't. You know, it's like there's things that come out, like when like the trailers come out or like the teasers come out, and I can kind of talk about whatever is in there. You know, kind of like the first episode I can talk about where they are at the beginning of the season. But beyond that, I think they like to keep it really close to the chest. They don't want to say too much. And I think that's better. I think people don't really want, I mean, they want spoilers, but I think in the end, it's like, it's better to wait.
Enjoy the show. You want to
go on that
ride.
Go on that ride.
Yeah. Have you ever accidentally revealed something?
I don't think so. I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty good. Truly, most of my friends and family don't ask that much. I don't think they want to know. Yeah, I don't think, I mean, nothing like David Harbour or something. You got to watch out for that one sometimes.
Noted.
Yeah.
Well, I should tell our viewers that I'm going to ask some questions that may reveal something. So please turn off your sound or tune out now. Here's your chance. And in advance of this, I also tweeted out asking if anybody had questions for you. And so I want to read a question from Selena Renee, who tweeted,
okay.
How exciting was it for you to portray this young woman being mistreated in a work industry who doesn't take shit? And how did you use this opportunity to empower young women who may be watching and still going through situations like this, even in 2019?
Yeah, I mean, I was so excited. I remember, you know, we sit down and do these table reads and just flipping through it and seeing where Nancy got to go this season. It was so, you know, exciting, I think, for her character. She's been put up against a lot, and she's really starting to grow up and come into herself. But yeah, overall, I think, you know, where we are in the world and culture and the conversations that are going on, it felt like such a great opportunity to explore that and reflect that on the screen. And, you know, for me, it's always playing just the character and her story and the things that she's up against. But, you know, I think there is a lot of power of seeing that reflected back at you. And I would hope that people can get some kind of, catharsis for that, or just, you know, be able to relate to that. Because it's, you know, it's such a thing about being a woman just in general, then and now. So yeah, it felt good. There were some scenes in there that felt good, and of course the actors were all really lovely in real life. They were very good and very generous, really good at just playing nasty men. But yeah, it was, you know, it was such a nice opportunity in a way to really grow Nancy's character in that direction.
Yeah, well, I have to say, as a woman journalist, like, the grit and having to go through that really resonated with me. Also, as an LGBTQ woman myself, there were moments of this season that really deeply resonated with me. There is an out LGBTQ character, Robin. What was your reaction to finding out about that storyline?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Duffer Brothers who write and direct the show they really care about their characters a lot. They really, I mean, men and women both, they give them kind of full stories, full characters, full things to work with. And, you know, I do think this season they really gave the women good, strong roles. And, you know, all the things that they're dealing with, like Robin's character, played by the amazing Maya Hawke. She's so good in it. You know, it's not, they don't make a huge point of it as like, this is, you know, we're like doing this issue. You know, they just, it's part of that character. It's part of their story, and it's just there. And then, you know, I think they handle it really well, and I think the actors are, you know, do such a good job with it. But yeah, it feels like a really good season for saying things and for giving women strong roles, and I'm really happy about that. I was so happy to see that in the script.
Well, speaking of saying things, something that jumped out to me is it felt like there were more political allegories this season. For instance, there is a corrupt, over-the-top politician with connections to the Russians who throws a big July 4th celebration. Were there any conversations on set about that at all?
You know, I don't think there was anything we really had to say. Again, we're just playing characters.
Yeah.
We're just in that world, in these people's bodies, saying, you know, these lines and getting into it. I think, you know, there are things that might resonate in the show and the real world. And I think that's what makes the show so good in general, is just that relatability to it. But yeah, you know, every season gets bigger and broader, and, you know, there's bigger things encompassed into the storyline. And yeah, this season definitely did that, and I have no idea where it's going next, but I have a feeling it'll continue on that path.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the show getting bigger, it seems like the fan base also feels really deeply connected with a lot of the actors and is really devoted. And I know that the cast has just become so famous since the show began. I think Millie Bobby Brown had to even delete her Instagram because of all the attention. How have you navigated the scrutiny?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I'm kind of private as a person, introverted, so it has been hard because once it is so much love and, you know, people coming up to you and saying the nicest things and saying how, you know, your character or the show resonates with them, and that's always a beautiful, wonderful thing. And as an actor, that's what you want to do. You want to connect with people. But there is the whole other, you know, the fame aspect is, I don't know if I'll ever really get used to it. I'm still navigating it and processing, and, you know, you have to figure out what works for you, what doesn't, what your boundaries are. Social media is really tricky because it gets, I mean, I think social media in general can be kind of hard to navigate anyway, just mentally. But yeah, you know, I dabble in and out of it.
Is there anyone that you like go to for help when you're trying to figure out establishing those boundaries and privacy?
You know, I think the only people who can really understand in some way that I'm close to are the people in the show, the cast. You know, of course, we all were kind of anonymous when the show came out, and then it came out, and then it was big. So we went through this kind of journey together of navigating that world. So if I have, you know, I'll talk to them about it, but sometimes just listen to your gut and know what makes you feel good and what doesn't, because for some people, they do it so well and gracefully, and they incorporate it in their lives so easily. And for others, you know, it's a little bit heavier and harder to deal with. So it's just, I think you just kind of have to figure out what feels good for you.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, you know, you have spoken in interviews about your relationship with Charlie Heaton. Do you get tired of people asking you about that, or becoming like the subject of tabloid photos over those things?
Yeah. I mean, yes. I think like, I'm very, again, like, private. I like my friends, my family, my relationships that are personal. I really, you know, it's personal, and then you have this life. So I think it's really easy for people to kind of, you know, mesh the two a bit. But I like to keep that distinction of being like, you know, this is my job. This is what I do in this world. But then I like to have this for me. Like, this is for me, and they don't necessarily have to intersect so much. So I understand the curiosity, especially in this day and age. But for me, I like to keep things a little bit more.
Yeah, of course.
Separate.
Well, okay, back to the job. Before you go, I do have to ask you one more question.
Yes.
I really lost my mind when I saw Carrie Elwes in this season, because it's like just so, you know, having someone who's in such an iconic movie and then again play in an 80s movie. Exactly. And there are so many 80s Easter eggs in all of the seasons. But it's also funny to me that so much of the cast like wasn't actually alive to watch those movies. And how do they research? Like, are y'all researching these movies? Is there someone on set kind of explaining, here's what this amazing, iconic 80s reference is?
Yes. I mean, the brothers are pretty upfront about like what they're referencing. They're such nerds for the 80s. They love the 80s. And truly everyone on that set is, you know, everyone doing costumes and art and set decoration, like all of it is, it's just people who really care so much about the authenticity of the show. So yeah, we're all constantly surrounded by people who really care. And I think, yeah, I've gained such an appreciation for the music and the film of that time period. I think there's something so, you know, magical and inviting about that whole decade. So yeah, I think we all really have just been brought in. I mean, it's such a great time to explore and to live in, especially in contrast with today's information technology-driven era. So yeah, it's been, you know, little bits of research and just immersion. But I think we're all really fond of the 80s now. Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you so much. It was really nice.
And season 3 of Stranger Things is on Netflix now. Up next, we're talking about what Mercury being in retrograde means for you. Yes, a little astrology situation. No.